All right. Hello there, YouTube. I know you're normally not the biggest fan of these style videos, but look, I have free time. My internet is not the best, so I'm stuck downloading this update, so I can't play it and try it. So instead, we're going to go ahead and read through the patch notes. I'll give you my first impressions and feedback on the notes, and we'll put this up. And then we will follow up in a couple of days with another video where I actually dive in and talk about the actual Legend updates and how they affect the metagame, and we'll probably do that as a separate thing to our actual Legend tier list, which should be coming out hopefully in a week or two. I planned on it coming out a couple days ago, but unfortunately fortunately actually, there are Legend updates today, which changes the tier list, so there's no point in me publishing it because it's just not, it's no longer valid, right? So let's go ahead and read through the notes together, and I'll leave a link to them down below. So the gist of this first section about duos and map rotation is that duos will be in the game permanently because they positively affect player retention and the overall matchmaking experience. Solos will not be coming into the game permanently because they, generally speaking, negatively impact queue times, player retention, and other factors as well. That's not to say that solos will never come back as a limited time mode. It's not to say there's never going to be some other way that they'll do a solos style thing. But for the time being, they're only targeting trios and duos, which I am totally fine with. I like duos a whole lot. I prefer duos to trios, so you'll probably be seeing me mostly in duos from this point on, unless I decide to play some ranked, which, by the way, duos will not be in ranked from this time on. As for the map rotation, here's how it's going to work. I don't think they gave an actual rate at which they're going to be rotating maps, so basically in the casual game modes, they'll be really rapidly rotating through maps. So all three versions of Kings Canyon, whether it's the base Kings Canyon, Season 2 Kings Canyon with the dinosaurs, or Kings Canyon After Dark, they'll be rotating those three, as well as, I would assume, World's Edge and World's Edge with the map update on there as well. I would imagine that's like a 5-map rotation, although it's kind of only 2 base maps with modifiers on them. That's totally fine by me. As for ranked, every ranked split will be set on just one map and one map only, so there will not be a ranked rotation. You have to wait for the next ranked split, which is half of a season for them to change the map on that front. Moving forward, we have, of course, what we talked about in the last video, Bloodhound's Trials, all the new stuff coming with that town takeover over at Sniper Hill, which overlooks Skyhook, so make sure you start dropping there as soon as you get back into the game. But let's get into some of the balance changes here, because we have both weapon and legend balance changes. So it figures that that we're going to have our legend or weapon tier list as well mostly be out of date right after I put it out, but that's okay. So G7 Scout is receiving further nerfs. The headshot skill is going from 2.0 to 1.75, so you're losing a few points of damage on your headshots. I'm sorry I don't have the damage values memorized right now, but headshots are losing damage, body shots are staying the same, and leg shots are losing damage as well. So I'm not really the biggest fan of this. I'm not sure the G7 really needed these nerfs necessarily. It's also getting a reduced projectile speed, so the gun is going to feel differently, it's going to handle differently, and it's not going to do as much damage. This is a weapon that was like super S tier and then was nerfed once and was, in my opinion, an A tier weapon. You still saw it pretty regularly in ranked, and it did really good, or I'm sorry, in tournaments, and you saw it doing pretty good damage from players who were really, really good and could use it well. And it's getting nerfed even further, so I don't know how to feel about this one. I don't know how impactful this truly is. I need to play the game with this update to feel it out, but I will say that I'm not the best with the G7 in general, so maybe the reduced projectile speed will just make me never want to use it again. I don't know. We'll find out and see if the G7 has gone completely in the dumpster or if it's still usable. Those of you that are time travelers that are in the future that have already played the update, because I have not played it yet, leave your comments below on what you think about the G7 now, because I need to develop my new opinions on it, and I don't really know where to start until I actually find one and use it. Next up, we have the L-Star. I'm a really big fan of this change, and it might be a little bit complex, but I'll do my best to explain it. So the L-Star will reset its view kick pattern much more quickly to avoid horizontal recoil, feeling like it goes in an unpredictable pattern when feathering the trigger. So what this means with the L-Star is if you wanted to shoot it endlessly without having to go through the overheat, then you would shoot roughly 20 shots, let off the trigger, let it cool off by itself, and then start shooting again, and you would just feather the trigger like that. Well, when you're going through the weapon's spray pattern doing this, it would not reset to shot 1, if that makes sense, very quickly. So you would restart the spray pattern somewhere halfway through, and it would be really hard to control the recoil and actually drag your mouse in the proper direction to counteract the spray pattern, much like you were playing Counter-Strike, you know? You just can't really do that with the L-Star that well. So the fact that the view kick pattern is being reset back to shot 1, quote unquote, much more quickly means that it's going to be much more consistent for players to use, and that's going to be really, really good. To counteract this, I suppose, they've reduced the time over overheat from 25 shots to 23 shots. So not the biggest deal, but it will require a muscle memory reset for people who use the L-Star a lot, myself included, because I got pretty adept at being able to shoot exactly like 24, 25 shots, or 23, 24, whatever the number was, and not overheat it, but get just to the cusp. So it'll be a little bit of muscle memory to pull that back just a smidge, just a few tenths of a second, but it is going to be very, very doable. Kraber getting buffed on headshot damage only. Thank you, Respawn. You are now able to headshot Gibraltar and Caustic when they have full like red armor and level 3 helmet. You can still headshot them for a one-hit kill. A Kraber headshot will always be a one-hit kill. So yeah, that's pretty great. Next up, we have some sniper ammo changes. I am not a fan of this. I don't like this change at all. I don't know why it happened, and basically I am big mad. Ammo per pickup on sniper ammo has gone from 10 to 8, which corresponds with the inventory stack size going from 20 to 16. I don't understand why. I think this is an undue nerf for the triple take in particular, because that sniper probably fires more than any of the others. This is also an undue nerf for the DMR, which fires a pretty similar amount to the triple take. And like the DMR, I don't even feel like it's that used anyways. Did it really need its stack size brought down even further? I'm not a fan. I don't like this change. I don't think it needed to happen. I think snipers were fine as they were. And I don't even think they were in a great spot where they were, but I thought it was okay. And this just seems like a real kick in the teeth to snipers. I don't get it personally. But then again, I'm a very aggressive player. I tend to prefer close range weapons and pushing close range fights. So maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe in really high level ranked where I don't normally play, this is an actual thing, and that's totally possible. But at my level of play and my casual lobbies where I just WM1 all day and all night because I'm no brain, just aim better than people and that's it. The snipers are barely a thing, and I don't see the point of this change. But if you have feedback on this, if you have an opinion on this, please let me know, because I'd like to hear it. Low profile. Limb shots on low profile legends now deal as much damage as body shots. So basically, FU Wraith and FU Lifeline. Your hitboxes and AD strafing animations are ridiculous, and this will help to deal more damage, especially with shotguns, because some of that spread may go down and actually hit lower limbs. So that means those pellets are going to do full damage now. So that's pretty dope. It's that's, I think, a buff for Eva in a big way, actually, because you're going to use Eva a little more mid-range and you might use a PK. And if you just shoot a little low, a couple pellets get on the legs, that's going to be a decent buff in damage. Revenant. I am so excited for these buffs. Revenant is getting major buffs. I'm going to be playing like Revenant like all day, all night, nothing but Revenant. Revenant is the only character in the game. Like, I was like that on stream for like a month after he came out, and I stopped playing him because he was so bad and I just couldn't deal with it anymore and I needed to play other people. But I am back on Revenant. So, silence. Double the duration. 20 seconds for a silence, which is nuts. You silence a person once and they are completely removed from the fight. Not only this, it disables Gibraltar's gun shield. That's nuts. if I can turn off Gibraltar's gun shield for 20 seconds and I have 2 charges of silence now, is Revenant competitive viable now? Is he ranked viable? Is he tournament viable? I'm kind of thinking yes. I think he really might be. I think we might see serious Revenant in high-level play with these buffs. Like, the duration of the AoE of your silence is now 10 seconds long instead of 5. You've got 2 charges, like I said. And your death totem will respawn you with 50 health, or less if you entered it with less health. So you don't have 1 when you come out, you have 50. Or if you entered with less, you have less. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. I'm such a big fan of these changes. I didn't think Revenant would get all of these things. I thought he might get maybe one of the things on this list, like maybe just 2 charges of silence and like a low profile removal, and that's it. And that's all I wanted. And look at all we got. I am so excited for Revenant. I'm going to play so much Revenant. Moving forward, we have Lifeline Changes, and I guess overall world changes. So we're going to have blue loot bins, also corresponding with the red loot bins in the world. So for blue loot bins, these will randomly replace the regular loot bins in the world. They will give you the same exact loot as a red loot bin, unless you have a Lifeline on your team. If you have a Lifeline on your team, she can open up a secondary hidden compartment in them, which will give a mixture of health items, weapon attachments, and knockdown shields. So that doesn't sound very good on the surface, like health items, like so I get syringes and like a blue barrel and a blue knockdown shield. Like that sounds stupid, but we don't really know yet what actually is going to be in these. Like if you could get a shield battery and a gold knockdown and like something else decent, like even just like a good 1x off of this, that's great. That gives Lifeline so much more value. It normalizes the RNG that you normally rely on with her ultimate, like very, very good. I'm pretty sure that looking at data miners from the past that they thought this ability would go to Loba, who is supposed to be like a thief character that's coming eventually. But put it on Lifeline with the loot bins. That's perfect. That gives her an actual reason to be played. And this makes her viable too with, so the Revenant buffs, I think, make Lifeline more viable, because if you can have 2 charges of silence and turn off Gibraltar gun shields for 20 seconds, all of a sudden his value diminishes quite significantly. Now, he treads a little bit less on Lifeline's toes. I mean, he still does, because he can still res faster and cause teammates to heal faster without instead of his dome and get safer reses and all that stuff. So that's still great about Gibraltar, but Lifeline's passive seemingly does not get turned off by silence. It's only Gibraltar's. So, and it's only part of Gibraltar's. So Lifeline can still get those faster reses with the shield up. She has a smaller hitbox, so if she gets silenced, she can AD strafe and still be really evasive and not die like quite so fast as Gibraltar might, because he's super fat and easy to hit. At least, like, you know, I don't know. Like, I'm super theory crafting and going way out of my means here and just guessing at what might happen. But I am very, very excited to see what happens for Lifeline, because these buffs are super cool. Next up, we have Wraith. This is a change that really only affects, I think, like tournament level play and some high-end ranked lobbies where you have really smart and abusive players who are using her ultimate to basically create a portal where you get to like 2 teams left and you're in a position where the ring is getting really small and you are cut off from the opposing team. What you can do is start a portal, run in circles, and get the maximum length of the portal, and you set the exit right next to the entrance. And what you'll do is you'll portal, zip around, come out, portal, zip around, come out, and just do loops through your portal. And while you're in that portal, you are invincible. And because you are invincible while you're doing that, you don't take zone damage. So that was a way for you to basically outlive enemy teams through the zone, and it made Wraith the #1 legend to have in those endgame situations, because not only can she phase shift, and she can phase shift while she's setting her her ultimate, so that made it safe for her to set it up in the zone. Her whole team could just go through and 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 go through, and you barely even needed healing items because you would be invincible for like 30 seconds, and then you win the game off that, and it was really dumb. So it took Respawn over a year to address that, whereas they addressed the Lifeline healing in zone within the first few months. So I'm shocked it took them this long, but I'm happy they did it. and I'm really, really happy they did. Next up, we have Evo Armor Changes. These are some big buffs for Evo Armor. It's going to make it way more consistent to use. You're going to see so many Evo Armor users, and it's going to be pretty nuts. So, blue armor damage requirement has gone 275 from 100, so 25 less damage for upgrading white to blue, 150 less damage for upgrading from blue to purple. So, picture this. You pick up a white Evo shield. All you need to do is 225 points of damage, and you have purple armor. I mean, you need to heal it up, but you have purple armor. And then only 400 more on top of that to get to red armor. So it's a total of 625 damage to go from level 1 to level 4 in your Evo armor. That's pretty good. That's really good. I don't know how to feel about this. Perhaps this change is supposed to go alongside the sniper nerf, so that way people can't quite as easily sit 1,000 meters away. Not 1,000, but, you know, 300 to 400 meters away and plink away at HP for free charge on their Evo armor. Maybe that's the reason. That could be the reason. Finally, for actual buffs and changes to the metagame, we have King's Canyon, all versions of King's Canyon, having the total amount of loot items spawning on the map increased. So there have been a lot of complaints from high-level players that the loot on King's Canyon sucks. And this change addresses that and makes it much, much better, so I am a big fan. Finally, we have some bug fixes. I'll read through these with you guys because I actually have not pre-read these before recording, so we'll go through these together. Fix the bug for cases where matches with, okay, whatever. Script errors, cool. Taller legends could have stuck in geometry for using Wraith Portal, fixed, cool. Fix the bug for cases where players that were under Revenant's death protection could still be healed by Doc Drone and Watson's Interceptor Pylon. Man, that's unfortunate. I really like the fact that when you had Revenant's death protection on, you could be healed by those abilities, but it was seemingly a bug, so they had to fix it. Oh well. Fix the bug where mantling with Wraith could cause the camera to clip through the character. I did not know that was a thing. Fixed lighting in some interior areas on World's Edge that were appearing too dark. Good, because that's for PS4 specifically, but yeah, there are some areas that have weird lighting in this game, especially on World's Edge, so happy to see those updated. Interesting, this next one. Fixed a bug where sometimes players would lose aim assist after being hit by Revenant's silence ability. That's hilarious that somehow there was a bug that when silenced you didn't have aim assist on a controller. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's crazy. Maybe that's why I never felt like Revenant was as weak as people made him out to be, because I used silence so much that I was disabling people's aim assist and they couldn't hit me, and I was like, well, his hitbox doesn't feel that bad when I play him. Maybe this is why. I don't know. Next up. Fixed for cases where players would not receive assist credit when using Crypto's drone to scan enemies. I did have that issue a few times, so happy to see that's been addressed. Really, really good. Fixed issue where sometimes players could hear and in rare cases be hit by Revenant's abilities while in the firing range when he's not there. Yeah, that was true. So when you're in the firing range, you are in an instance with other players, but you just can't see or interact with them. So sometimes you'll hear like Lifeline ultimates being dropped down, or you'll run through a Revenant ultimate or a Revenant silence that you can't see and you get silenced. And that's going to be super annoying if it lasts for 20 seconds now in the firing range. They had to fix that. So glad to see that being done. Invisible doors. I've never heard of invisible doors, but that's I'm glad to hear it's fixed. I didn't even know that was a thing. Fixed cases where circle end in a bad or invalid location. Good. I see complaints about that pretty much daily from pros saying this circle sucks, this circle sucks, this circle sucks, please fix. So a lot of those are fixed. Cool. Now here's an interesting bug. Fixed an issue with Bangalore's Viceroy skin, where the legs were showing the wrong skin while mantling. How do you even have the skin just be wrong on one half of the character? I didn't think that skins worked that way, where you had like different sections that could be piecemealed together. How does that even happen? That's so odd. Let's see. Fixed a bug for cases where Revenant places his ult death totem on the train. A player is respawned to it while on the train's moving. The player could be respawned somewhere else on the map or off the map. I've never used Death Totem on a moving train before, so that's very interesting. Cool buff, or cool fix. The Energize charge for Sentinel Sniper cannot be canceled with the Switch Weapons button on your controller. Very, very good. I didn't know that was even a problem for controller players. Glad to see that is changed. Oh, thank God. They fixed the cases where dive trails are visible before exiting the dropship. I hope that fixes the audio from that as well, because it was so loud. I really hope they fix that. And finally, there's fixes for map bug related to exploitable hiding spots and bad geometry. So probably there's some spots where you can go inside walls or inside objects, like the infamous fridge in Capital. There's probably some other spots like that that are maybe less known that have been fixed. So very, very cool. Anyways, that'll do it for these patch notes. Thank you all for watching. I am super excited to get playing here really soon. My download should be done hopefully in a couple of minutes, so I will probably get this uploading, and once it's done uploading, I will just start streaming and have this go live as soon as it's ready to go on YouTube's side. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Really excited to play the new update today, and I hope to see you on stream. There's a link down in the description box below, twitch.tv/FrothyOmen. I will be live for a number of hours. So I hope to see you there. And if you're watching this later in the future, be on the lookout for future videos where I actually have played this update, and I will be showing footage as well as my feedback on how it actually plays out. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you soon. Take care.